Hi, I'm Richard Tang, CEO of Zen Internet, as well as being the UK's only broadband provider that's recommended by the consumer organisation, which we're also a B Corp, and we do lots to support the local community and charities. One such charity is the Hallé Orchestra, and I'm here at Hallé St Peter's today with Kath Russell, Director of Development, and Martin Glynn, who is Director of Venues, to talk a bit more about the Hallé. So, Kath and Martin.
Hello.
Hello.
I was going to say very welcome, but
We'll welcome you, shall we?
To your venue. I want to start off with the fact that the Hallé is a charity, because a lot of the other charities that we support, it's very obvious that they are charities.
Yeah.
But the Hallé is also a charity. Is that normal for orchestras, or
Well,
is the Hallé unusual?
No, the Hallé is not unusual. There are a number of orchestras, 4 in London and I think 5 or 6 around the UK. And we're all symphony orchestras, and we all get publicly funded by the Arts Council or the Irish Arts Council or the Scottish Arts Council. And we also, if we're lucky, we get good local authority funding as well. But we are all registered charities, and we need to be, because we also have a huge fundraising task. We have to raise a lot of money from private sources. We have a brilliant set of patrons and individual donors, mostly drawn from our audience, who obviously love coming to the concerts and want us to flourish. But we also have a large number of corporate sponsors, of which Zen is one, and we're very grateful, and we have different relationships with those different corporate sponsors. And then we also apply to a number of private trusts and foundations. Those are the key areas that we fundraise on almost all the time, because there's always a challenge with funding. We get our charitable status largely because we're seen by the Charities Commission as an educational institution. So that includes the concerts, because of course, you know, the idea of cultural offer and education in performance is fairly clear. But we also, what people often don't know, is we do a huge amount of work off stage as well. And we work with young people from ages of 7 or 8 in our youth ensembles, our sort of gifted and talented youngsters. We are committed to drawing from state school sector, because in our sort of experience of music, the public school sector already have very good resource for music. So we draw from state schools. We try and identify, with the help of hubs, music hubs, you know, gifted and talented youngsters who need help, who perhaps can't afford proper lessons or the right kind of instruments. So we work a lot around that. We work a lot as well on singing with young people. But we also do a huge schools project, using music as a tool to improve your communication techniques, become more confident. Work we do in schools, often the teachers will remark on how children's attainment has improved in other lessons. You know, they listen better, they work as a team better, they concentrate harder, they have a sense of needing to work together to be successful. You know, all of these really important life lessons. So we're not anticipating every child we work with is going to be a musician, but music has so much more to offer than just a career. And we know from our patrons that we create lifelong lovers of music with our school's work, who then come back as patrons in later life, and credit music with having given them confidence, you know, a sense of aspiration, a realisation that there's work out there that perhaps isn't obvious, but if you look for it, you can find it. So, you know, we're very proud of the work we do off stage. We also work in the community. We're doing relaxed performances now, which I know Zen have been involved in, and we use Zen technology to help us with those, and because we can stream some of them now as well. And that they're geared around young people with profound disabilities and people living with dementia and their carers. And they're concerts where people can walk around and sing along and shout out and wave at the musicians, and it's encouraged that it's very relaxed, and the music is geared towards the audience. So for people living with dementia, it's often music that will remind them of their youth, remind them of parents, remind them of family members who are long gone. And it's magical stuff, actually. It really is remarkable. And also, we're recognised carers of anybody living with a challenging situation, that the escape music can give them is really important as well. So we are a very committed charity, but a lot of our charity work you can't see. And I think that's the same for other orchestras, theatres, art galleries. You don't necessarily see what we're doing that's charitable, but it's there.
Yeah, because the thing that's just in your face is in the concerts, really.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what you see.
And we have a challenge with the concerts because, musicians appear beautifully well dressed. They have very expensive instruments they walk on stage with. And obviously people have paid for tickets. They don't want people shuffling on with, with instruments that sound terrible. And so, but the upshot of that is it makes us look really like we have no financial problems. Surely not, if you can present yourself.
Whereas the
way.
opposite is really the truth.
That
every area is a financial challenge. I suppose in other countries they refer to organisations like ours as not-for-profits, and I think that's so. Obviously, we have a commercial element to what we do. As Kath says, we're selling tickets, but the end product goes back into delivering all the other things, the brilliant things off the platform, and some brilliant things on the platform. That your ticket price doesn't necessarily cover, So it's a very broad-ranging remit that we have as an organisation, and one that we're all very proud of.
Yeah.
Let's talk about technology, because Zen is the technology sponsor for the Hallé.
Yeah.
But when you think of an orchestra playing, you don't necessarily think that technology plays that much of a part. But Martin, from a venue point of view, does it make much of a difference? Besides being able to get on the internet on your phone?
Well, I mean,
which is important.
I was about to say that's crucially important, and actually, the development of the venue that we're now in, Hallé St Peter's, as the Hallé's principal rehearsal venue, instantly creates a disconnect from the perception of where the Hallé's home is at the Bridgewater Hall. So we have now two sites that we call home, and connection between those two things is really important, and consistent connection even more so. So making sure that we're all looped together. So if you're working, if we have colleagues who are working at the Bridgewater Hall, or they're working here, they're working to the same standards, the same systems, able to access the same things, and that's absolutely crucial to an organisation like ours. We're not blessed with a huge amount of resources in terms of staffing, and so kind of being able to be flexible and move between spaces is really, really crucial for us. So from a just on a very basic administration level, technology plays a huge part. But part of my role here is that the venues are used about 50% of the time by the Hallé. And part of my role here is that other 50%, we have to look at the commercial opportunities that having space provides. And the technology that we have, largely through the support of Zen, has been a kind of crucial part of us being able to improve the offer that we can go out to market with when we're looking at third-party hire clients. So we have events here that are regularly hybrid meetings, streamed. We have performances here that were streamed during the COVID period. This room that we're in now became a vitally important part of the Hallé's offer to our community, in that our choral groups particularly weren't able to meet on a weekly basis. So we set this room up as a studio where they would have their home rehearsals from here, so that we would film and narrowcast, if you like, via Zoom or Teams to the people at home, so they could retain that connection with the Hallé during a period where we didn't know when we were going to come back together. And having good quality, reliable technology was absolutely critical to our existence in that period. So we're very grateful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Kath, I remember you told me a story about, again, during COVID, you used the live streaming thing quite a lot, and particularly from a mental well-being point of view, to connect with people, get people singing at home, and stuff like that.
We used, without St Peter's and the connectivity here, we would have had a very... we had a tough COVID, as obviously lots of people did, most people did, but it would have been a lot worse for us if we hadn't had Hallé St Peter's and we hadn't had the technology here. The Bridgewater Hall closed almost fully for the best part of 18 months. We couldn't get to the offices. So from a mental health point of view of our staff, it meant that we could actually see a human being that we worked with. We had distance meetings here when we could. But we also did a lot of work around our singing agenda in particular, recognising how valuable singing is in terms of managing mental health issues. We worked a lot with our youth choirs. We delivered rehearsals where we would have the conductors in here in this room performing to a screen, and that would be streamed to the computers of all of the youth choir, and they would all sing along. And although the sort of things we got up to in COVID now seem nuts and strange, it actually was a remarkable moment, and we got brilliant feedback from young people about how it took them out of the immediate situation for an hour. They saw their friends on screen. It wasn't a lesson, it wasn't a school lesson, it was a fun experience. That our conductors are brilliantly theatrical. They make it really good fun, and it just felt like an escape, really. And we won an award actually from the Manchester Culture Awards for mental health and wellbeing for our corporate choirs, our business choirs, and we got some amazing feedback from them. We kept those going online. And again, we did a big festival from here, from this space, where we had all of the corporate choirs involved. And the feedback from the staff was remarkable. You know, people who did have a job were perfectly safe in their job, but they were getting up at 8 in the morning, straight on Zoom, working through to 8 at night, living on their own, not seeing any of their colleagues. You know, this became a bit of a lifeline for people who were perhaps considered to be fine because they weren't on the front line of all the challenges, but actually the mental health challenges were immense. And we had brilliant feedback from the choirs. We also recruited 2 choirs of nurses during COVID we've got a brilliant piece of footage of one of the sisters in Bolton Hospital talking about how it was a lifeline for them as nurses. They came out of, the trauma of COVID for 45 minutes and sang. They could take their masks off. They could smile. They could, breathe properly. They could sing. And then they felt completely reinvigorated going back onto the wards. So if there was ever a mental health endorsement, that was probably the best we had. Mm-hmm. And without Hallé St Peter's, we would have really struggled because the technology in our homes, in our personal lives, just wouldn't have been able to manage it. So, having Zen give us that sort of power and that technology support meant that we could do all of these things, and also really easily, because we didn't have the staff to create massive big sets or deliver a huge sort of bank of sort of mixing desks. It had to be really quick and easy and straightforward, and we were asking musicians to be the technology people. So, and that was brilliant as well. The usability of it was fantastic. Everybody became good at it, which was brilliant. Brilliant.
Fantastic. So final question, favourite piece of music performed by the Hallé? Martin?
Well, that's really timely because actually tonight we're playing it. So for me, it's the Fauré Requiem. And the reason that I have a connection with that piece of music is that when I was young, I used to sing in the Manchester Boys Choir. So as a young chorister, I was fortunate enough to sing Fauré's Requiem in 1985, so a very long time ago, with the Hallé. And actually on my first day at work, when I came to work for the Hallé, I came home after my first shift. And I got home and there was an envelope with my mum's very distinctive handwriting on it. I opened that envelope and inside it was the programme from the concert in 1985 with my name in the back of it. So my connection with the Hallé goes back a long way. Only once as a performer. Certainly not something I would be offering anybody now. But yeah, so that's very coincidental. But actually, Fauré's Requiem is my number one piece, and we happen to be playing it this evening. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And Kath, what about you?
Well, I'm living proof that you don't have to know very much about classical music to work for an orchestra, and I'm the person that gives our former chief executive advice on who Burt Bacharach is and who, when we do our Pops concerts, which film certain music has been in. So I'm the sort of, I'm far from being a highbrow classical music fan, but there are pieces that I love that are probably familiar to everyone. I think up until about 2 weeks ago, I would have said Mark conducting the Enigma variations. Yeah. It's what he's known to do brilliantly. It is an amazing piece of music, and it's one of those pieces of music that everybody knows. They just don't realise that they do. So, as a concert to come and hear, you may think, I'm not sure I'm going to know or like this piece, and every piece of it you will have heard in some situation somewhere, and it will be a magical experience, and we are doing that later this season. But 2 weeks ago we did this rarely performed opera called Simon Boccanegra, Verdi, and that's
Boccanegra.
Right. Boccanegra.
Yeah.
And I was persuaded to stay by the chief executive and the music director, and I have to say it was one of the most magical evenings that I've had. It was absolutely mesmerising, and that's coming from somebody who's not an opera fan. And I think what it taught me was that if you can go without preconceptions and you can take it at face value, the magic is really real there. And I think the problem we have with classical music is people have preconceptions that I'm not going to like it. And I think from the position I'm in, where I didn't study as a music student, I studied English literature, theatre is much more my comfort space. I think going in with a really broad sense of just let it flow over you was exactly what I did that evening, and it was, and I felt the magic, and I think when you do that, it's really special.
Yeah, George Michael spoke a lot of sense when he said, "Listen without prejudice."
Yes,
yeah,
indeed,
think,
and he is a superstar.
Yeah,
he was a superstar. So yeah, I think it's if you love music, I think you should give all of it a try.
Absolutely, sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it was magic.
And finally, if anyone watching wants to find out more about the Hallé, come along to your concerts, get involved with supporting the Hallé, get involved with your charitable activities, what should they do?
Well, all help is welcome. There's nobody that isn't welcome and that we wouldn't be grateful for support from. We obviously have to raise money, but we also work with businesses in an in-kind way, where we work on a pro bono basis. That's always really very welcome. We support patrons who give us small amounts of money each year, patrons who give us irregularly, so maybe once every couple of years. There's nothing that wouldn't be valuable to us. And the best way to learn out about what we do and what it might be possible to join and how you might meet new people who have similar interests is to look on the website. We do have a section called Support Us, which gives details on the different ways you could be involved. And I think from our patrons would say that many of them arrive on their own. Some of them are widowed or widowers, and others have live on their own, and they come to concerts on their own. But there is always a group of friendly people who are very welcoming. We have a private space where our patrons meet before concerts and in the interval, and there's a real social life attached to it. So if you love music and you also would welcome an expansion of your social life, it's a really good thing to do. And I think we also pride ourselves on being very accessible. So musicians come and meet with our supporters. The conductors come in and speak, and I think there's lots of genuine friendships between the performers and the people who support. So I would welcome any conversation with anyone, however broad it might be. We could absolutely support, and you could absolutely be involved.
Yeah. Okay, and the website address is?
www.hallé.co.uk.
Yeah, and that's Halle. Okay. Kath and Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching.
Thank you very much.